On the first day of the largest invasion in human history, over 5% of all German soldiers killed on the entire Eastern Front died trying to take one single objective. An objective their high command, the architects of Blitzkrieg, had allotted just 12 hours to capture. They had planned for everything: the thickness of the walls, the number of cannons, the element of surprise. But they had failed to account for the one variable that would turn their lightning war into a bloody, grinding nightmare: the iron will of the people inside. How did a forgotten 19th century fortress, dismissed as a mere footnote, inflict such a catastrophic blow on the seemingly invincible Wehrmacht? And what secret did its defenders carry that was so dangerous their own government tried to bury their story for decades? In the next 14 minutes, we will uncover the astonishing truth of the fortress of Brest and the men, women, and children who stared into the abyss of annihilation and refused to blink. The final hours of peace, June 21st, 1941. A warm summer evening hangs over Brest Fortress. This is not a bastion on high alert, it's a community. The sound of an orchestra drifts from the park. Laughter echoes from the officers' club where soldiers are watching a film. In the sprawling courtyards of the red brick citadel, families stroll together, children chasing each other through the long shadows. Inside the barracks, home to some 9,000 Soviet personnel, are 300 of their families. Wives, mothers, sons, and daughters sharing the rhythms of garrison life, lulled into a false sense of security by the non-aggression pact signed with Germany. They have no idea that across the river, hidden by the gathering dark, the veteran Austrian 45th Infantry Division is making its final silent preparations. Major General Fritz Schlieper, commander of the 45th, looks over the plans one last time. His objective is simple, brutally efficient: seize the fortress, secure the vital bridges over the Bug and Mukovets rivers, and clear the path for the panzers to thunder towards Moscow. Brest is not the prize, it is an obstacle, an old brick relic that must be swept aside by noon. His men are confident, hardened by the campaigns in Poland and France. They are the tip of the spear. As midnight passes, an unnatural quiet descends. The music has stopped. The families are asleep. The fortress holds its breath, unaware it is living its final moments of peace on Earth. 4:15 a.m. Without a word of warning, the world is torn apart. A 29-minute hurricane of steel slams into the fortress. Not from the air, as many survivors would later mistakenly recall, but from the ground. A storm of artillery shells and the demonic shriek of Nebelwerfer rocket mortars. The earth heaves. 2-meter-thick brick walls designed to withstand cannonballs shatter like glass. Barracks vanish in clouds of dust and fire. The water mains are severed, a deliberate, cruel stroke. Communication lines are cut, instantly isolating the fortress from the outside world and each part of it from the others. Men are killed in their beds, buried alive under tons of rubble. It is a symphony of pure, calculated destruction, designed to pulverize the garrison into submission before the first German boot even touches the shore. Just 4 minutes into the barrage, the first German assault teams are already in rubber boats, paddling furiously across the Bug River. They storm the fortress, expecting to find dazed, shell-shocked survivors ready to surrender. Instead, they run headfirst into a wall of sheer, unadulterated fury. From every window, every cellar, every pile of smoking rubble, the defenders fight back. They are stunned, confused. Many of their officers are dead, but they fight with a desperation the Germans have never encountered. The labyrinthine design of the fortress, with its hundreds of self-contained casemates, becomes a death trap. German assault groups that break inside are suddenly the ones who are trapped, isolated, and hunted through corridors they do not know by men fighting for their homes. By the end of that first day, Major General Schlieper's plan is in ruins. His veteran division has suffered 281 men killed. A staggering number. The fortress that was supposed to fall by noon has not fallen. The Blitzkrieg has hit a brick wall. and as the battle rages, the civilians become a vital part of the defense. Women tear their own clothes for bandages, tending to a tidal wave of wounded. They reload machine gun belts and carry ammunition to the front lines. The children, knowing every secret nook and cranny, become messengers, darting through rubble-strewn tunnels to carry orders between isolated pockets of resistance, their small frames slipping past German patrols. A community at peace has become a community at war. Out of the chaos, leaders emerge. In the central citadel, Captain Ivan Zubakyov, a steely professional, begins to forge the scattered survivors into an organized force. At his side is the charismatic regimental commissar Yefim Fomin. In the East Fort, Major Pyotr Gavrilov, a career officer of immense fortitude, organizes a masterful defense, repelling wave after wave of German attacks. They are the heart of the resistance, a trinity of command born in the crucible of battle. But here's what historians got wrong for decades. It wasn't one unified command, but three separate islands of defiance, each fighting its own desperate war. By June 24th, Zubakyov and Fomin decide on a desperate gamble, a coordinated breakout. They gather their strongest men for a mass charge, hoping to punch through the German encirclement and rejoin the Red Army they believe must be just beyond the horizon. The fortress gates are thrown open and they charge into the morning light, screaming their battle cry. But the Germans are waiting. They have turned the approaches into a kill zone of interlocking machine gun fire and pre-sighted mortars. The charge is a slaughter. The survivors are driven back inside, their hopes shattered, their ammunition spent, their comrades lying dead in the fields. The failed breakout is a grim turning point. Now they know. There will be no escape, no rescue. The battle has become a true siege. General Schlieper, realizing direct assaults are too costly, writes in his report the only solution: to force the Soviets to capitulate through hunger and thirst. The Germans tighten their grip, their snipers now focused on the one thing more vital than ammunition: the river. The fortress's water supply is gone. The only sources are the open channels of the Bug and Mukhavets, and every inch is covered by German guns. Thirst becomes a weapon more terrifying than any cannon. The sun beats down on the smoking ruins, and the cries of the wounded for water are a constant torment. Desperate water runs become suicide missions. At night, soldiers crawl on their bellies towards the riverbank, a single helmet or canteen in hand, praying for a moment of darkness. The sudden crack of a sniper's rifle, a muffled cry, and another man is gone. The riverbanks become a graveyard, a testament to the agonizing choice between a slow, agonizing death from dehydration and a quick, violent one from a German bullet. Frustrated and enraged by the defiance, the German High Command decides to pulverize the fortress into dust. They bring in flamethrowers, turning the deep brick casemates into roaring furnaces, incinerating the defenders in their final redoubts. And then they unleash their monsters, the super-heavy 600 mm Karlgerät siege mortars. Behemoths designed to demolish concrete fortifications, they fire 2-ton shells that don't just explode, they erase. Entire sections of the barracks collapse, burying dozens of defenders alive under thousands of tons of brick and earth. The very foundations of the fortress shake with each impact. Yet from the dust and rubble, the crack of rifle fire continues. The defenders fight on. On the walls of the cellars, scratched with bayonets or written in the blood of the dying, poignant messages begin to appear. One simply reads, "We'll die, but we won't leave the fortress." They are the final communications of soldiers who know they are doomed but refuse to be broken. They are fighting now not for victory, but for something more. They are fighting for the soul of their motherland. On June 26th, the Germans finally overrun the central citadel. Captain Zubakyov is captured, destined to die in a prisoner of war camp. Commissar Fomin is also taken. As a commissar and a Jew, he is a dead man under Hitler's commissar order. He is identified and executed on the spot. By the end of June, the Germans officially declare the fortress captured. The 45th Division, battered and bloodied, finally moves on, leaving a small force to mop up the last remnants. For the German High Command, the battle is over, but wait until you see what happens next. The battle is not over. Deep within the flooded cellars and dark dungeons, the fortress lives on. Isolated groups and lone fighters become ghosts in the ruins. They emerge only at night, like phantoms, to scavenge for a rotting potato or a handful of bullets, and to kill any German unwary enough to cross their path. For weeks after the fortress was officially taken, the sudden crack of a single rifle shot would echo through the ruins, a chilling reminder to the occupiers that the fortress had not yet died. This lingering spirit of defiance is encapsulated in the fate of its most legendary figure, Major Pyotr Gavrilov. After the fall of the East Fort, Gavrilov and a handful of his men disappear into the labyrinthine basements. As his men fall one by one, he continues the fight alone. For more than 3 weeks, he wages a one-man war against the German army, a single ghost of vengeance haunting the ruins. Finally, on July 23rd, 32 days after the invasion began, a German patrol corners him. The soldiers who find him are stunned into silence. Before them stands a man who is barely human. He is emaciated, a skeleton covered in torn, filthy rags that were once a uniform. He is wounded, swaying on his feet from exhaustion and starvation. Yet, he is upright, and he has fought them until his pistol was empty. He is the last officer and one of the very last defenders of Brest Fortress. His capture marks the true end of the resistance. The final cost is immense. Nearly 2,000 defenders are killed. Almost 7,000 are taken prisoner, few of whom will survive the horrors of the German POW camps. The Germans, for their part, have paid a price in blood they never imagined. 429 killed and nearly 700 wounded for a minor first-day objective. It is a grim forewarning of the brutal war of attrition that will ultimately consume them in the East. But for the defenders who survived, a second, cruel war was just beginning. Under Stalin's infamous Order 270, any soldier who surrendered was branded a traitor. Major Gavrilov, the hero of the fortress, was stripped of his rank and party membership after being liberated from a German camp. He lived in poverty and disgrace. The story of Brest was an embarrassment to the Soviet leadership, a tale of capture, not victory. It was silenced, buried under the official narrative of the war. It was only in the 1950s, through the tireless work of author Sergei Smirnov, that the truth was resurrected. He spent a decade tracking down the handful of survivors, piecing together their harrowing testimonies. His book became a sensation, forcing the Soviet state to confront the injustice. The heroes were finally rehabilitated. In 1965, Brest was awarded the title of Hero Fortress. Major Gavrilov had his honors restored. The fortress that had refused to die in battle had finally won its war for memory. This final detail will change everything you thought you knew about their sacrifice. The inscriptions on the wall, like the legendary, "I am dying, but I am not surrendering. Farewell, motherland," were not just words. They were the evidence that saved the honor of every man who fought there. The story of Brest Fortress is a testament to the enduring power of the human spirit. To delve deeper into this incredible saga, we highly recommend the book that brought their story to light, Sergei Smirnov's Brest Fortress. For a powerful cinematic portrayal, the 2010 Russian-Belarusian film Fortress of War is a must-see, and if you ever have the chance, visit the Brest Hero Fortress Memorial Complex in Brest, Belarus. Standing among the ruins, before the colossal monument named Courage, you can still feel the echoes of the fortress that refused to die. The defenders of Brest fought for their story to be remembered. By watching, liking, and sharing this video, you help keep their memory alive. Subscribe to our channel for more incredible stories of courage and sacrifice that history must never forget. Thank you for watching.